What's happening, everybody? Welcome back. This is Forgo, and all of the Black Order characters have been proven to be insanely strong. Every one of these characters has been able to change the meta some way, some shape, somehow because of their power levels or the relevance as far as where they're applicable in the game. So we're actually going to do an updated tier list involving these characters, and because they really have shaken up the meta. I mean, you got Proxima here that has this crazy ignore target dodge rate leadership that is amazing for null. It's actually good against ABX, especially during the paralysis season. She's also got the uniform effect that increases damage to supervillains and superheroes that applies to all villain allies, which is great for squad battle on no restriction day, which is great for world boss, Shadowland. Well, Shadowland's not really a big gauge, and ABX, of course. And also, then you have Supergiant, who is the new ABX meta. She's also a one-shot destroyer. Her power levels are pretty much on par with Moonstone, which is nuts, right? This character's on par with Moonstone as far as how much damage she can deal out. And I mean, that's really due to, having the 40% increase of all attack here and the, all defense down here on regular world boss. This skill does a lot of damn damage. And then she's got the increased damage proc on her third skill. She's just an insane powerhouse of a character. You got Corvus here, who is now this speed villain ABX meta. He's completely changed everything as far as being the meta now. He's also insanely strong against Mephisto because he's speed type. You have the type advantage. I mean, he just plows through Mephisto like just another walk in the park for him. It's just crazy how insane he is. I mean, especially since he has this crazy 55% all attack buff. All of these characters have damage accumulation except for Ebony, and we will get to be talking about Ebony. And then you got Black Dwarf. Now, Black Dwarf is a character that, and well, actually these last two characters, both of them, really aren't quite as relevant as the other three characters, Proxima, Supergiant, Corvus, because Ebony and Cole are not ABX metas, but they are insanely strong. This guy here can easily take down Null and one-shot that first phase and just end it quickly. You don't even need OP cards to be able to do it, which is even more insane. Cole's power level is really on another level, if you know what I mean. And I definitely want to awaken this character, but the cool thing about this character is he does have damage accumulation already in his kit. He doesn't even need to be awakened to have the accumulation, which is pretty freaking amazing. But when you awaken this character, then you can actually play him against Null. He will do well against Combat Villain Day, but I mean, Apocalypse is still the meta, and I would argue probably Mr. Fantastic will probably do better in ABX versus Cole. But against World Boss, Cole is freaking numero uno, really, amongst the combat characters. He's number one. He's the best combat character in the game against World Boss. That says something about the guy. That's just nuts. And then you got Ebony here. And I want to give a shout out to Cynic Alex because I actually watched his video. I normally don't watch other YouTubers' videos too much because really I'm just so busy. But he was doing a comparison between Mephisto and Ebony. And Ebony actually was keeping up with Mephisto in World Boss. Now, something to take into account whenever you see those kind of videos is, and Cynic Alex mentioned this also, is that, Ebony has the passive, right, where he increases damage dealt to superheroes and supervillains by 50% and 30%. And the increased damage to supervillains is actually really good for him as far as ABX is concerned. But when you start talking about ABX, he also increases damage to universal types. Well, ABX has no typing, right? So this will not be applicable in ABX. However, against Null and against other universal characters in PvP or PvE, the decreased damage received and the increased damage to universal types is actually very, very good for Ebony. And he's one of those characters that would be really great against ABX because he actually does have, I believe he has silence or no, he doesn't have silence. He has paralysis and burn on one of his skills here. Let's see if I can find it here. So there's the burn and there's the paralysis. So you can actually use him in the burn and paralysis season. He doesn't have silence, but the thing about this guy is he's a whole lot cheaper than Moonstone and Mephisto for Blast Villain Day. He's actually a good character for that because he's so much cheaper. You got to spend 6,000 crystals for Moonstone, and you got to, Mephisto's a native tier 3, so the amount of resources and costs that you got to put into those two characters is well beyond what you got to put in Ebony. Now, Ebony is a native tier 2, right? So as far as leveling him up, he costs more than Moonstone. But as far as your crystal cost, he's actually a lot cheaper because you're just spending, the crystals for the uniform. And you can actually get the BIOS for this character in World Boss. You don't have to go into the store and buy him. So to me, that actually makes his relevance go up. And the fact that he can keep up with Mephisto against Null is just insane. So let's take a look at the tier list. So in my tier list, the way that I value characters is how relevant are they? What kind of utility do they have? How powerful are they? How useful are they in the game? And even sometimes, and I do take in the cost a little bit into account, but not so much as compared to the power levels and how useful they are actually in the game. So you have, Infinite God and Omega God, right? Those are the two big dogs, right? And, you see a little icon here for the ABX. And I do value ABX a little bit because it is a PvE game mode, and you'll find that a lot of ABX characters are the metas. And Supergiant, I definitely believe, belongs in Infinite God. She is just so strong, for the reasons we talked about earlier. She's just massive, guys. She can do insane one-shots. She's the ABX meta. She's on Moonstone power levels. And, and I got Moonstone over here in Infinite God. A lot of people seem to agree with that. And I will end up adding some icons here. I'm actually probably going to change the tier list and start rearranging some things and make it a little bit nicer to look at, in all honesty. Maybe like change up the way that I'm doing this, make it look a little bit different. But I wanted to show you all, where these characters belong, at least in my opinion, currently in the game state. But I do believe Supergiant, and by the way, this is in no particular order as far as, Infinite God. I just put her on the bottom. It doesn't mean I think she's weaker than Cable or not as useful as Cable or Moonstone, nothing like that. It's just she's an Infinite God character. And then we have the Omega God. And you can see that Proxima, Ebony, and Black Dwarf all made a massive impression as far as Omega God. And then I got Corvus right here. And the reason Corvus is actually below Human Torch and Shirag is because he just isn't as strong as the other Black Order characters. Don't get me wrong, he's strong, but I do believe Shirag and Human Torch are just really on another level when it comes to power level. But Corvus still is insanely powerful, and he is an ABX meta, and I will be adding some icons. Again, I am going to change this in the future. But I do think Black Dwarf, honestly, when it comes to his one-shot potential, I do think he's the best combat character in the game as far as World Boss. He's not an ABX meta, and neither is Human Torch. So I kind of put Black Dwarf above Human Torch. Maybe you put Human Torch above Black Dwarf. I really think it could go either way. And then I got Ebony up here. And the reason I got Ebony so high is because, again, he was comparable to Mephisto. That's insane, guys, as far as regular World Boss. And he's an excellent support for PvE and PvP. I mean, this is generally a more PvE-oriented list. But he really is an insane character for support on top of being such a high damage dealer. I mean, having that passive increased damage to superheroes and supervillains, they increase the universal types against Null, and let's face it, Null is the World Boss that most people do want to fight, right? Because he does have the mighty CTP of energy, and most players are really looking for that rather than the mighty CTP of regeneration against Mephisto. And, Ebony is he's just strong, right? He's a great support. And then you got Proxima. And by the way, and also Ebony, you can use him in ABX. He's a cheaper ABX character that you can use instead of Moonstone and Mephisto. So that's actually another reason why his value is, up there as far as I'm concerned. And then Proxima, I really believe, because of her leadership, because of her uniform effect passive, and because she's so valuable in ABX, and you can use her on multiple days in ABX, that she just belongs on top when it comes to Omega God. I really believe that her utility is just the best amongst the Black Order character, and that's why she's all the way at the top. It's not to say that I think she's actually stronger than Human Torch. I don't think that. But her utility is a whole lot better And like I said earlier, I think Black Dwarf and Human Torch, they could be, switched around in all honesty. And again, Ebony, his utility is just so good and he's so strong. I really do think he belongs up there. But let me know how y'all feeling about the Black Order characters. They really have made a massive impression in the meta, at least as far as I'm concerned. And I do stream on Twitch at Reset. The link will be in the description below. And I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. Y'all take care and have a good one. See ya.